Welcome to all new Look Back in Amber, from exclusive interviews to interesting inside insights. Since 2010, we've been the best place to be for all things audio for us, Newport County fans. Coming up in the next 45 minutes, I'm Lamsie, and it's time to wrap up the 2022-23 season.
I'm Stephen, and I want to know your views on the Graham Coughlan era.
I'm Luke, and I want your thoughts on what happens next for our great club.
Never miss out, more than ever. Do it now. Subscribe to the podcast for new episodes, including summer special editions and past episodes as well.
Right here.
Right here.
Right now.
Right now.
Newport City Radio.
So last time on Look Back in Amber, we decided that 45 minutes of us was enough for you.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to be talking the length of a football game, do you?
No, absolutely.
So we took the executive decision to hold it there and bring you part 2, which is what we're doing right
Technically
now.
half time, 45-minute episode. Pause. Let's hope this is 45 minutes so it makes sense.
Well, I hope for the listeners it's 45 minutes, but I don't think we're going to get that far. So, with a couple of things left on our agenda. So, last time round, go back and listen to the podcast. You would have heard Stephen take you through month by month of just a really interesting season off the pitch as much as it was on. I know, Luke, you want to talk about this in a couple of minutes' time. Also, Luke took you through division by division, so make sure you listen to that. And Chris Chappell gave his thoughts to wrap us up on that edition of his whole season. And he would know, wouldn't he? Because you've both been sat there.
Yeah, did a really good job for us, didn't he?
Yeah, always. He's just such a professional, and it's always lovely hearing it. Okay, so let's get back down to business then. Okay, next up, Stephen, go for it.
So what I thought we'd do before we look at the Graham Coughlan era, we'll just look at where Newport County were just before he took over. So under the first 13 games under James Rowbury, Newport County were in 18th place when he took over. They played 13, won 3, drawn 2, lost 8. 1-1, drawn 1 and lost 5 at home. 1-2, drew 1 and lost 3 away. So I thought what I would do is I just thought I'd have a look at 3 things that Graham Coughlan did over his era, and then we'll have a chat about his overall reign. So what I've looked at is result when Newport scored first. At home they won 5, lost 2. Away they won 3, drew 1 and lost 1. And when the opponent scored first, at home, they drew 5 and lost 3, so they didn't win any. Away, they won 2, drew 4 and lost 2. And in James Rowbury's first games of the season, where Newport scored first, at home he drew 1 and won 2 away. And at home, they lost 5, drew 1 and lost 3 away when the opponent had scored first. So just quickly, I thought I'd look at clean sheets. Up to James Rowbury's departure, Newport only kept 1 clean sheet. That was at Harrogate. Graham Coughlan kept 3 clean sheets in his first 5 games. Only 6 more after that. 3 of those were in April. And finally, Newport failed to score in 7 games under James Rowbury. Under Graham Coughlan, they failed to score in 7 games since October. So there was a marked improvement there. So I thought we'll come to you, Luke. What are your impressions of the Graham Coughlan era?
Graham Coughlan, I think when we went to his first press conference, I remember, sticks in my head, you asking former chairman Gavin Foxall now, saying, how important is this appointment? And he said it's vital for the future of our football club, and they've made the right decision. I think that Graham Coughlan has been a revelation. I think his football it's not too dissimilar to Rowbury in terms of the pressing, and they want to get forward. We've seen that they've dominated against teams, but they just can't seem to put the ball in the back of the net sometimes. I'm quite optimistic since he's took over on match day 15 against Colchester. We are 9th in the league, 45 points from 32 games. We're 6 points off the playoffs. So if he had a full season against some of the teams that we played earlier on the season, like, say, Warsaw, we picked points up against them, Crawley, Rochdale, who ended up getting relegated. If he had a full season, we might be off to Wembley as we sit here now. But I think another thing, 4 points at home under James Rowbury in his 7 games in charge. 1 win, 1 draw, 5 defeats. 21 at home under Graham Coughlan, 16 games, so more than double the games for Graham Coughlan. 5 wins, 6 draws, 5 defeats. When he came in, he said it was his job to turn defeats into draws into wins. So I think that he is doing that. I think we're turning draws into wins and we're turning defeats into draws. I think as well, we've seen improvements from players. I think more than anything, he said that him and his coaching staff like to get out there on the training pitch and like to work with players. We've seen improvements to the likes of Cameron Norman's gone up another gear. Declan Drysdale, since Graham's come in, he's given him a run in the team which he might not have had before, and we've seen a marked improvement in him. Priestley Farquharson, even up top, Omar Bogle. Towards the end of the season, I think it was 8 goals and 2 assists in his last 8 games. He's ended the season on the high. Wildick, we've seen Wildick almost become a new player towards the end of the season. He's had such an influence, such an impact, and even people like Mickey Dimitriou's been as solid as ever. Aaron Lewis has come on well. He's even made the bold decision to play him in midfield.
Yeah, that was a kind of masterstroke, I think. Yeah, Team Lewis on that left-hand side with Aaron, and Adam Lewis was brilliant.
And Luke Lewis left back in the changing room.
Yeah. Yeah, but and again, I think that was a really good thing that he decided to do. Like you said, it was brave to do it, wasn't it? But but it worked. Yeah.
It did, and I think that he is brave. He isn't afraid. We've seen in press conferences he's honest. He likes to be honest. He doesn't shy away from things. And James Clark, who yesterday, as we sit here, signed a new 2-year deal, when Coughlan first came in, Clark said that he is like that. He's what the team need. He won't shy away from anything. If you play poor, he will say you played poor. You know, he's that kind of manager. And
yeah, I think you're right. I think he's been he's been brilliant in his press conferences, isn't he? We all know that he doesn't like losing, and I think he gives an honest assessment as well of how the team have played, and I think he's been really honest speaking about other things recently in the media, which we'll come on to later. I think for me, there's a few things that stand out. I think when he took over initially, the home form was dreadful. He was slightly erratic in his first 5 home games. He lost 3 and won 2. They lost 1, lost, and they repeated that towards the end of the season. Yeah, but then after that run, he had like 1 defeat in 9 at home, 1 3 drew 6 lost 1. But then he was pretty good away from home as well. He lost his first away game, but then he only had like 1 defeat in 9, 1 3 drew 5 lost 1. Finished the season brilliant away from home, 1 defeat in the last 5. I think another thing that he did was he began to turn the goal difference into a positive. For example, in September it was like 4-1 against 6, but then like the last 3 months of the season it was 4-7 against 6, 4-7 against 7. In April it was 4-13 against 11. So he turned that around throughout the season, as we noticed when we went through it last week. And I think the biggest thing for me was conceding 8 goals at home, and he turned that around and they actually got it from a negative into a positive.
Yeah, watching the League 2 playoffs over the weekend as it was, I remember seeing a stat. I think it was only Stockport have scored more goals in the 76th, 90th minute in League 2 than Newport. I think it was 13 or 14 they've got. Yes, we're saying all these things are good, but for me, the home form, again, there's still question marks over the home form. Only the bottom 2 sides, Hartlepool and Rochdale, who unfortunately got relegated this season, have worse home records than Newport County in the league. Away from home, we're 8th, I believe. We've got a really good away record. It's the old saying of, when you draw your away games, win your home ones, you'll be okay. It seems like we're drawing our home games and winning the away ones.
Yeah. And I think like I said about that goal difference, he turned that around. But something that he does need to work on, I think, for next season is conceding in the first 15 minutes.
For
like
sure.
you said, at home.
For sure.
He needed that. But then also conceding in the first 15 minutes of the second half away from home was a big problem, because sometimes they take the lead and then they would concede after half time and things. And then on first 15 minutes of the second half, as I said, they turned it around in the final 15 minutes of game. So I think we're starting to see an improvement there. But the biggest thing for me is definitely because overall between like the 46th and the 60th minute we scored 4, conceded 14. And then between the 31st and the 45th minutes, 4-8 against 10. So that really needs to be turned around, because I think that's what was hurting them. I think that's something, and I'm sure he's aware of it as well. So I just think something. I think another thing he did was in January he got rid of players that he didn't want.
Yes.
He got rid of Zimba, Lindley, Nevers, Dolan and Wilmot. He got all those out of the club.
That shows, especially Dolan and Wilmot, I think that shows a level of, like I said, he's honest, he's brutal, I think is the word at times. Whether Matty Dolan wanted to go and be closer to home, we know that he went to Hartlepool, which is where he's from. Whether he wants to go closer to home or whatever, but yeah, I think he's been brutally honest in things that he does, and we spoke to Joe about that, and that's the vibe I kind of got from him as well.
He is. I think he's firm but fair.
Yes.
I think is the best way to describe it. So that's what I've got on the Coughlan era. So thanks for that.
We mentioned it before in the last episode, so but just want to reiterate again, he's done that the right way. So he's approached those players and he's given them honesty, but also given them a solution and a way out. Yeah. Which I think is just, a great effort.
I think you're right, and I think the squad respect him for that as well. I think.
I know you want to talk about the Coughlan era, but can I just go back a couple of eras just to solidify what's in my head? So you got to look at it. The club has been most successful in its current era under Michael Flynn. Yeah. So what you've got a Newport boy who was untested manager, but obviously understood the culture of Newport County. So any good business is going to look and think what worked for us before, which is how we end up with James Rowbury. Yeah. Somebody that we just thought was brilliant. And it was fresh, it was great, but untested. So the science is there, the understanding is, the culture's there. Everything's on paper looking good. And you go into this season, okay, coming off the back of a couple of losses, but you start the season and you're still positive because we were rooting for this guy.
We were,
of course we were. Not only for footballing reasons because we're Newport County fans, but because we actually really, really like James, and it doesn't work. So what do you go to next? Well, you've gone to the opposite end of the spectrum. You've gone for somebody who is very experienced and his number two as well, equally Joe. As experienced. And you go for somebody who's not from the area. But that doesn't matter because it's football and they need to fix football. And they can learn Newport and they can understand what we're all about and they can get the culture.
I think you're right, and I think that's something he did really well when he came in. I think he got Newport. I think he obviously did his research on the club, and I think he really came in understanding what Newport County were about, and I think that's why he's settled in so well, I think.
And what he did at that point, the moment he arrived at Newport County, he did three things. One, respected James Rowbury. Yeah. Two, he identified that within that respect, that for whatever reason, in his opinion, there was a lack of fitness. Yeah. And that was one thing he had to try and do.
10K club.
Yep, absolutely. And then he identified that for some reason the mentality wasn't there. Yeah. Well, you can imagine if you keep losing all these games, it's not going to be there. We said on the last podcast that we don't think the dressing room was lost under James Rowbury, but it doesn't, at the end of the day, they were only doing what the manager at that time could show them to do and manage them. Now this new guy comes in with all this experience and says, actually guys, we're not quite there on these two levels, and that's when we went on this little journey with Graham Coughlan. So that's my view of the Coughlan era. I think we all wanted James to work and we all wanted it to be a brilliant season of James Rowbury, but it didn't work, and this is the guy with just absolutely bad loads of experience, and really, really pleased to have him at the club.
One thing as well about Mr. Coughlan is his roots and his passion almost for developing younger players. We've seen before he came to us, he was the joint manager at Sheffield United's under-23s, and one of his who are now in the Premier League, and a player that I know he spoke so glowingly about, Iliman Ndiaye. He was coached under Graham Coughlan, played at the World Cup for Senegal, I believe.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So and we know as well. Him and Joe have been at these under 15, under 16, either coaching, watching.
Even Joe Dunn's had a lot of success as a youth coach as well. He did really well at Colchester. So I think they both get young players.
And we've seen with the younger players in our squad: Declan Drysdale, Adam Lewis, Aaron Lewis, even Caban Rai. Yeah. If you're good enough, if he sees you've got talent, he's willing to. harness it. He has said that a few might fall by the wayside, but you're always going to get that in football. So yeah, I think that's one thing to more for the future. I think looking out for is the younger players coming through in their development. So yeah, I think there's a lot to be optimistic about in the Coughlan era going forward.
Yep, thanks very much.
Right here, right now.
Newport City Radio.
So, what I want to talk about is where do we go from here? Where does Newport County go from here? Now, we know that the season's over. It's in the books. We have no games. We played 46 games. We finished 15th on the table. There's no change in that. We move to the summer. Now, we know that the summer is always chaotic in terms of, firstly, at the time we're in now, players being out of contract. That's one of the most important things, is keeping a squad, especially Newport County, where you got so many good players out of contract. Priestley Farquharson, Mickey Demetriou, Cameron Norman, Aaron Lewis. But there's more going on. We've seen throughout the season it's similar way behind the scenes. Not much has been spoken about it. So I want to ask the guys in the studio, in terms of, well, just where do we go from here? We don't know the situation with the role of the chairman. We don't know the situation with General Manager. We don't know the situation with John Pratt. Who is he? We don't know much about him. We don't know what his intentions are. He said he wants to invest, but he's come onto the board in a co-opted director role.
Yeah.
Lamsie, you're a man of great business expertise.
Just great business acumen.
Yeah. What's going on?
Okay, so let's have a little bit of honesty here for a couple of seconds. So I understand that the club want to focus on the pitch for the rest of the season. There's so much noise. We had to secure our safety. We need to play in League 2. And we had to focus on that. I get that. Behind the scenes, beyond the club's control, then there was a raft of things happened that we spoke about on the last podcast, and we lost a lot of important people.
Yeah.
Even someone like Darren Kelly, I think, who was on the board. He was that link between football and the board, and we lost him as well. So
I think what you got to do, you got to get through to the 13th of June, and you've got to see who's in the room to start off with. That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Who's actually there to run our club,
or via Zoom.
Yeah, or via Zoom. So we need to understand that first. My advice to Newport County is for the next season, keep it simple off the pitch. Yeah, so just get the basics done and get the basics done well, which I'm sure they're going to do, because that's a lot of talent gone. We had
Gavin,
thank you. We had Gavin in the studio quite a few times, and he was a very hands-on chairman, and I think quite respected. He was going all sorts of meetings. Certainly with the FA side, really close to them. Have they got somebody in the setup at the moment that can do all that? In terms of director of football, there's been a change of emphasis there. For me, what's happened, and again, I won't know until we get to the 13th of June, but my feeling is that they've got Darren Kelly at board level. They didn't want to put the new guy in at board level because it would be almost like too Graham Coughlan-y, and there's got to be some separation between the board and the management. I think by putting this guy onto the board, that would have been too much of a weight in the other way, especially at this moment in time when we've lost quite a few board members. So there's that element to go on. So I respect that, and if it's done for that reason, I absolutely get it. So lots to sort out. Yes, the John Pratt issue is not known, but again, it will have to come out on this date.
Yes, got it.
So you're right. This is probably the most important moment in a long while for Newport County off the pitch, and we're going to learn a lot. But we need to get behind the board and give it time, give it a chance, and hopefully we'll go from there. I'm very confident and very happy that we've got the management. The playing area is all sorted. I think we've got some great people there, and I've got no doubt that recruitment's going to be fine. I've got no doubt that the plans are going to be there, and it's going to be a good pre-season for us. So I've got no issues about off the pitch. Big questions about on the pitch. Big questions about off the pitch.
Yeah. I think for me, I mean, if you look at this time last year, there was loads of things to be optimistic about. The club was doing well financially. They acted early in the transfer window. They had a plan for that transfer window, which they enacted early. They had a plan with the academy, with Darren Kelly and everything that he was doing. But it just seems for the last couple of months, or say last month or so of the season, like you said, Ian, with everything that's been, all the talk and all the noise that's been going on off the pitch, there's been a lot of negativity. And what I think we really need is for that to change. And I'm hoping, people wanted this meeting, they've got it. So, what they need to do is turn up, because I think sometimes people, are quick enough on social media to ask for these things, but then they don't turn up and take their opportunity to have I would say. So, but we will find out more, I think, in that meeting. Like you said, there's all those different things that you've both spoke about that need resolving, and I think you're right. I think it is a big moment for Newport County with everything that's going on off the pitch.
Yeah, I think County fans, my big message is, don't look at who's left the club, as sad as it is, and it's not anything going on behind the scenes that I'm aware of. It's just things that have just naturally happened. Kev's got a great new job as being chair of Newport Live, and there's a podcast available on that as well. Yeah. You can go and find that. We'll promote that a little bit later. So he's doing that, and the other things have been through ill health and other bits and pieces. So don't worry, but the board need to give us confidence in the board and the structure and the way it's going to go forward on the 13th of June.
The board need to put confidence, but I think fans, more than anything, need reassurance. Yeah. They need reassurance. There's lots of rumours about different things going on with our finances behind the scenes, and whether we're in a good position, whether we're in a bad position, what's going on there. So yeah, I think there's it's like I said, like we've been saying, it's one of the most important moments since we reformed, in my opinion anyway, and I'm sure many county fans listening to this will have similar views as well. I think as well that we need answers about John Pratt. No one knows much about him. It's not like one of these, you look in the Premier League where he's some American tycoon takes over, and there's websites and articles and Wikipedia entries on who they are, how much they're worth, what they're up to, blah blah blah. We know nothing about him. All we know, he's an American guy, living in America from Newport.
Don't get too distracted with that. So that's the showpiece bit of it, and we don't know what that relationship is. All we know is he's coming to give expertise, but
he said he wants to invest.
Maybe, but again,
on Facebook, when he declared his interest in being a part of the board in Newport County, he said he has strong interest in investing in the club. So he wants to invest. His intentions, to me, seem like he wants to invest in the club. Yes, the structure doesn't allow it at the moment, whether that be something that's raised at the AGM, because there'll be a Q&A at the end, so that will be really interesting to see what will be asked. Hopefully as many people listen to this as possible will be there. It'll be nice to see a lot of Look Back and Amber fans there. We need answers. I think more than anything, we need answers.
Be careful here, right? Because yes, the nature of the club will have to change. It's a fan-owned club at the moment. That would change the ownership of it completely, which is doable. That's fine. But my question is, have they got somebody like Gavin that can effectively run the club well? Because that's what he's done. Yeah. So have we got... Hang on. So has he got one of those, right? Because if we haven't got one of those, then we might need to think about it if John Pratt is the solution. But do we really want to go down a Les Scadden route again, where someone pops money in and the rest was history?
Yeah.
So be very, very careful what we wish for.
Because even when Les Scadden was chairman, he didn't plough money into the club, did he? He was quite responsible with the way that he kind of, because, the club needs to be sustainable. Do you know what I mean? You can't rely on a rich benefactor, and this guy isn't coming in to be that. And I think maybe when he spoke about wanting to invest, maybe he was talking about bringing investment in, because that's his role. It's a like you said, it's a kind of advisory role, and it's more of a rather than coming in and investing in the club. So I think you're right. Yeah, we got to be careful.
To be fair though, on the other side of that, I mean, that's all he can do at the moment legally. Yeah. So it's I think I said on Amber when this was first mentioned that he was coming in as co-chair. That's all he can do, and that's all we should be expecting at the moment.
Right here.
Right here.
Right now.
Right now.
Newport City Radio.
Cool, that went deep, didn't it? Wow. Let's pull it back a bit. Let's do our end of season awards. Who's going to go first?
I'll go first. 4 categories, I think. Player of the season, young player of the season, signing of the season, and moment of the season.
Yep.
Player of the season, it's tough. Despite, as we said, that poor start. Coughlan's come in. We've seen the development of quite a few players, but one player who stood out for me more than anyone is close between him and Cameron Norman. But my player of the season for 2022-23 is Priestley Farquharson.
I'm giving you evils here because that's exactly who I've gone for.
Oh, we can agree.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, his journey, and again, he was brilliant when he came and had a little chat with us earlier in the year, but his journey has been fantastic and he deserves every single success that he's got. It ties up with my moment of the season, so I won't go too deep into that yet, but there was a little spell around November time where I just thought he was phenomenal, and he was just the
goals
real
as well,
deal.
wasn't he?
Yeah, he was solving a lot of our problems.
I think me and you might agree on our moment of the season then from what you just said.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go, Stephen.
Yeah, so my player of the season is Cameron Norman for me.
Ooh, that's let me remind you of your words from a few weeks ago when we talked about this on Facebook Messenger. You said to me he doesn't get enough goals and assists. That's what you said to me when the club first put on social media to vote for your player of the season. You said Mickey Dimitri, if I'm not mistaken, or was it Aaron Lewis?
Can't remember.
Hang on, red card. What goes on Facebook Messenger has to stay on Facebook Messenger. It's not public. So you go.
Yeah, because
off.
Yeah, my reason for this is he played 53 appearances. He played, I think, every game in League Two. Started most of them. He contributed 5 goals, 5 assists, and I thought he finished the season strong with 2 goals in his last 4 games. And I just think, for somebody who could have gone for Dimitri easy, but I just thought I'd go for somebody slightly different. And I just think, he's been really, really good. I think like we spoke about before, that the play goes through him. He's like the focal point of us going forward a lot over on that right hand side. I stand by it. I would like to see him get more assists, but because I bet he finished strong. Do you know what I mean? Like the season before, he started off strong with assists, then he dropped off. Kind of similar this season, didn't he? It was fits and starts. I'd like to see him do it consistently over the whole season. Maybe, get into double figures for assists. Aaron Lewis nearly got there, didn't he? Cameron Norman for me.
Okay, let's go young player of the season. Luke.
Adam Lewis for me. I know he hasn't played much of the season. He's only played 21 games in the league, I believe. But when we've seen him, he's looked of real quality. Like I said on the last podcast, he's done really well. 5 goal involvements in those 21 games. Third highest long balls per game, 7 key passes per game, most big chances created for Newport County this season. So he's had a creative influence on down that left hand side, and his contract is up at Liverpool this summer. Whether it's renewed or not, I don't know yet. I don't know if it's been announced, but if I was Graham Coughlan, I'd be a fool not to want him back. An absolute fool not to want him back.
Yeah, I think he took his time to adjust, didn't he? And then he kind of, like we said, he kind of got into a really good flow. Because when he left, he was the second top assist behind Aaron Lewis.
And as well with Aaron Lewis, him playing at left wing back allowed Aaron Lewis to go into midfield, which allowed him to shine. Yeah,
and I just think, we started to see it. And then he improved defensively as well as going forward. And we had a real threat down that left hand side, didn't we? And unfortunately he got injured. And I agree. I think if we can get him in from Liverpool, I mean, he's going to be on probably good wages, so we probably won't be able to.
But would he be willing to take a pay cut at this stage of his career to almost get his career back on track?
Yeah, I think that's what Graham Coughlan would have to do, is sell it to him that way. Is like, come with us for a season, sign a 1 or 2 year deal. When a bigger offer comes in, we won't stand in your way. We'll let you go, and that could be a good thing for him to do. Yeah.
Would you make him captain if Mickey goes?
Oh, Adam Lewis? Oh
no.
No, so not enough incentive.
If Mickey does go, James Clark potentially for captain, maybe Joe Day.
Yeah, I said that yesterday. When if he'd be made captain, James Clark, I'd probably go for James Clark. Yeah.
Okay, I've gone for more because of what I see, hopefully potential in this person, but also because they've taken a lot of opportunities off the pitch as well. So I've gone for Will Evans.
Oh, good man. My one to watch, obviously.
Yeah. He's, again, came in here, brilliant, breath of fresh air. That whole story about him growing up and getting into football was brilliant. And just, he's gone into what we do, and anything we can do to help support Will on that, we're happy to do it. And so, I'm slightly biased because I like to see people getting into broadcasting.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. So for my young player of the season, I've gone for Nathan Mariah Welsh. I think, obviously the youngster from Bournemouth, I think he's had a terrific season. 46 appearances, 3 goals. I think, he was just he was brilliant at all aspects of the game, in midfield, defending, going forward. I think he had real energy about him, and I just loved him every time I watched him play. And so for me, my young player of the season is Nathan Mariah Welsh.
Okay, let's go signing of the season, Luke.
Oh, that's a tough one. There's been some really good signings. I think Aaron Wildig has come in quite late. He's always been... You could always see he's got quality, but I think that quality has shone through towards the end of the season. Rather than that be a consistent run games, he's picked up 1 or 2 niggly injuries over the season that's kind of hampered him. So I think having a consistent run of games... If it was based on the last 2 or 3 months of the season, I'd probably say Aaron Wildig, but for me, there's only one person. 17 goal man, Omar Bogle. I think... I don't think there can be any arguments there for signing of the season.
Yeah, I think I've gone for the same. Yeah, I've gone for Omar Bogle, I think. I wanted to give him an award because I didn't give him the player of the season, so I thought I've got to give him something. But Wildig's been good. I think,
even someone like Declan Drysdale's come in and he's done quite well.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you said that, Luke.
Yeah, we'll come on to that. Obviously top scorer, 19 goals, 54 appearances, brilliant start to the season, 6 goals in his first 8 appearances.
First time in his playing career, I believe he's started all 46. He's played in all 46.
He's always changed clubs, and he's been off and on. But I think, he had that barren spell between November and February. He went 15 games without a goal, and this is another reason why I really admire him for is he took a lot of flack, but he still went out there every week. He led that line for Newport County, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. And I think towards the end of the season he got the respect of the fan base back, because he had a strong end to the season, 7 goals in his last 8 games. If you would like to see more from him, you would hope that, don't just have a good start and a good finish, try and go all the way throughout, as I spoke before. But like I said, he deserves a lot of credit for the way he's conducted himself this season. So for me, signing of the season, Omar Bogle.
Yeah, I've gone Declan Drysdale. You've already slightly covered it. It was that moment where he was finding his way into the team, and then we got robbed of him because of an injury.
Yeah,
and then he come back, and what a comeback! There's a phrase: "Comeback is better than the setback."
And he got injured again.
It was in there. What's that?
And he got injured again.
He got injured again. So the comebacks were better than the setbacks, and he didn't make it to Panto.
No, he didn't. Not yet. Anyway.
No, so, we can still tat him out next year if we need to for a bit of cash.
Never know. Keep your eyes on the riverfront around December. You might see him pop up.
We'll do. We'll pop into the board meeting on the 13th of June, and we'll suggest that. Just say, listen, if there are any financial difficulties, here's your goose that lays the golden egg.
Absolutely.
Oh no, it isn't. Oh yes, it is. Moment of the season, Luke.
I think personally, and for me, just in general, I think the Leicester game, to see Newport County go away to Leicester, hopefully as of 5 p.m. on Sunday, they managed to stay up, and I thought a certain Merseyside team go down.
No. That's not in the script. Can't see that anyway.
That won't make the podcast.
But Leicester, personally and professionally,
I think it's really unfair because Steve couldn't make it that night.
That's true.
However, I've gone for Leicester.
I get it, man.
I did forget to say on the last podcast, so let me put that right. Our fans were outstanding. They outsang, they outshouted, they did everything they could to push the team up the line. Again, Priestley was brilliant in that game and the Derby game thereafter. Yeah. But I spoke about on the last podcast my reasons why personally I found it really, really good. May we have many nights like that in the future.
Yeah, well, my moment of the season is not so glamorous, I'm afraid. but equally as good. Yeah, I think there's been so many moments like Derby, like you just said, in the cups. We had good cup results, but I think beating Northampton 3-0 at home, they were second in the table at the time. They were on a good run. 2 late goals from Bogle and McNeil getting the win. And I just think, it was a really, really good moment. So,
what about ending Leighton Orient's invincibility cloak for the first time? Took 4 points off them. I'm not sure if any other team have been able to take points.
No, I don't think they did. No, not
4
not
points
like we
off
did.
them. No, I don't think that's happened. That's probably my second biggest moment of the season anyway, is beating. We've always had a good record against the teams at the top end of the table. So let's hope we are at the top end of the table come next season.
Well, there we go. That is the end. It is the 25th of May, and we have finally got to the end of this 2022-23 season. Thank you to Chris Chappell and all the guys over at Newport County and everybody over at the club that helped us support do the warm-up. Thanks to all the bands that have tuned up as well. What an amazing year for live music at Rodney Parade. And thanks to my volunteers who do the NCI warm-up as well. Thanks to some geezer called Stephen.
Thank you very much.
And some guy called Luke.
Thank you very much for this season.
Brilliant stuff. We will catch you very, very soon. Like I said, we will have some special editions for you. As always, more than ever, we'd like to read your thoughts about our thoughts on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and via direct message. We're also on email, studio@newportcityradio.org. We do it for you. We'd love to hear from you, and thank you for joining us throughout the whole 2022-23 season. Download the whole season, ready for your summer vacation. Go on, do it. You're away for a week, you're away for 2 weeks. There's plenty of us to listen to. More than ever, subscribe to catch those summer special editions as well, and we'll have more talking points, more banter, and more top class analysis in the 23-24 season. Have I got that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. We'll catch you soon on Look Back in Amber.
Right here, right now.
Newport City Radio.